Bifocal Chapter 18 J. With my right paw, I push up the velour sleeve of my left arm to look at my watch. It was 8:20. I'd been waiting 10 minutes. I had 10 more minutes until Kevin and Steve arrived. It was amazing how slow time could pass sometimes, especially when you were standing outside the back door of the school wearing a bear costume and waiting for the other 2 bears to arrive. I should have let Kevin pick me up and drive me to school, but my mother had said she'd drive me. Of course, then she had to leave early. If only I'd been smart and let Kevin drive me. Then again, the being smart ship sailed the minute I agreed to dress up as one of the 3 bears for the Halloween assembly. So here I stood, in a brown velour suit, a little tail pinned to my butt, whiskers painted on my cheeks, my nose painted black, and a little hat with ears on my head. This would have been a really cute costume if I were 5 years old, and a girl. The 3 bears weren't our first choice. Originally, we were going to go with the 3 musketeers, until we found out we couldn't have swords, even plastic swords, because that violated the board policy about weapons or replicas. Without the swords, we would have just been 3 guys wearing poofy pants and frilly shirts. A second suggestion had been the 3 little pigs. But after the whole thing with the ham spread around Browntown, I thought that wasn't such a good idea. Kevin thought it was a great idea because of the vandalism. He called it a hook. The only thing I knew about hooks was that I didn't want to be strung up on one. After a lot of discussion, I was able to convince Steve that it wasn't the right thing to do or wear. Kevin wasn't pleased when I did that. Kevin was never pleased when people didn't do exactly what he said. "Quite the costume." "Thanks," I mumbled without looking over. People had been making comments as they passed since I'd arrived, and it was starting to get old before the day had even started. "What are you, like a dog?" "I'm a bear. I stopped mid-sentence. I was talking to a girl. I guess it was a girl. The voice was a girl's, wearing a big black burqa sort of outfit. Only her eyes were visible. I'd been staring out at the parking lot so intently that I hadn't seen her come up. I had to fight the urge to half-step back. These people always unnerved me. "I guess it could be a bear," she said. "It is." "Did you make it yourself?" she asked. "No, of course not." "Too bad. It would have changed my whole image of the football team." That voice sounded so familiar, but I'd never talked to one of these people before. They always just drifted down the halls, usually 2 or 3 together, whispering to themselves. It was eerie to watch them because you couldn't see their feet move. It looked as if they were being blown around like a bunch of dark rain clouds. "I wanted to thank you for helping to clean up the vandalism," she said. "Thanks. Did you see it on television?" "Yes. You looked very guilty." "Guilty? I didn't do anything wrong." "Now you sound guilty." "I'm not guilty of anything. We weren't even here when it happened. We were at a football game." "I know. Maybe guilty is the wrong word. Embarrassed? You looked embarrassed on television." "Uncomfortable is more like it," I said. "Being on television wasn't my idea." "You don't even like being in front of a class to make a presentation," she said. Classroom. She'd been in one of my classes. That's why I knew the voice. She didn't have any sort of accent, nothing foreign or strange. She sounded sort of like me, except she spoke faster. "You're lucky that sometimes you have a really, really good partner to carry you in those presentations." "Presentation. Partner. Xana?" "Big football star can't remember the little people along the way," she chided. "No, it's just that I didn't I stopped myself. "I'm doing my hair differently." "Yeah, right. That's it." She laughed. "Don't be stupid. Of course you couldn't recognize me. But didn't you recognize my voice?" "It sounded familiar, but you can see my eyes, though." I looked down. She was a good 4 inches shorter than me. There, looking back at me from the shadows, were 2 beautiful gray-blue eyes. I always thought she had the most incredible eyes. Afghani eyes. "Where'd you get the costume?" I asked before I even thought not to ask. "It's not a costume," she snapped. She suddenly sounded very angry, and I knew I'd said something wrong. "It's just part of the Muslim tradition." "Your parents are making you do this?" "My parents are opposed to me doing this." I tried to figure out what to say next, but she spoke instead. "They don't understand why I'm doing it. Neither does my brother. You know, Haroon." Haroon. He's in my geography class." "He's your brother?" She nodded. "I didn't know you had a brother." "He's my twin, and no cracks about how we don't look like twins." I think this is very confusing to him. I'm just trying to get in touch with my religion, live my life as a devout Muslim. Life needs purpose. I was trying to think of something deep to say in response, but I was saved from the struggle by the appearance of Kevin and Steve. Xana saw them as well, watching as they walked towards us. 2 bears. Wow, do I look that goofy? I asked. Pretty well, but some people can pull it off, she said. You think I pull it off? No. I said some people. I didn't say you were one of those people. She laughed, and I laughed along with her. Hey, Boo-Boo, have you seen any picnic baskets? Steve yelled as they came lopping towards me. He looked like he was enjoying this, but then again, he seemed to enjoy most everything. You're looking good, bro, Steve called out as we tapped hands in greeting. And who's your friend? Kevin asked. This is Xana. Nice costume, he said sarcastically. This is coming from the guy dressed in a bear outfit. It's Halloween. I have an excuse. What's yours? Bad hair day? Better than having a bad brain year, she snapped. She was quick. Steve started to chuckle, and Kevin shot him a look that shut him up. Big talk from somebody who doesn't have the big brains to be an individual, but has to dress like a big black sheep and follow the herd, Kevin said. Again, this from a guy dressed identically to his 2 buddies. Some imagination. If you had any imagination, you'd realize that we're all dressed the same because we're the 3 bears, Kevin said. Like Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear? She asked. Exactly. So if Jay's the baby bear, which of you is the mama? Neither of us, Kevin said. We're both Papa Bears. I see. So this is the sort of gay version of the classic fairy tale. Baby Bear has 2 daddies. This time I was the one who had to work hard not to laugh. It would be a touching story about 2 daddy bears frolicking through the forest, skipping, holding hands, picking flowers, and why don't you shut up, you stupid sand monkey, Kevin snarled. My mouth dropped open. The anger in his voice, the look of hatred in his eyes startled me. Steve looked just as shocked. Kevin stepped forward and bumped into Xana. She stumbled, almost tripping as she stepped backwards off the sidewalk. I grabbed him by the arm, and he struggled to get free. Steve stepped in as well, positioning himself directly between Kevin and Xana. It's not worth it, Steve said. Just forget it. Kevin didn't respond right away, but then he seemed to relax. He nodded his head, and I released his arm. Go inside, I said. I'll meet you 2 in a minute. Steve led Kevin towards the door. He was muttering under his breath, but kept walking. He paused the door and looked back. If looks could kill, she was dead. You okay? I asked. I'm fine. She didn't sound fine. Your friend is a bully and a jerk. You pushed him into a corner. He was the only one who did any pushing, but maybe it's good that he was pushed into a corner. Maybe then he'll understand what it's like when racists push us into corners. He's not a racist. Are you defending what he said? She demanded. I'm not defending anything. I just know he isn't a racist. Then I guess he made that sand monkey comment an affectionate nickname sort of way. But what else can I expect from another white but racism? Are you calling me racist? I stammered, not able to believe what she was saying. If the sheet fits. I shook my head. Let me see if I understand. All whites are racist. Is that right? You got it. But you saying that isn't a racist comment, putting all of us in the same category because of our color. She didn't answer right away. Maybe I'd scored a point. Can I ask you a question? She asked. Sure. You helped clean up the vandalism. If your friends had been the one who had done it, would you— My friends didn't do it, I protested. They were with me at the football game. There were hundreds of witnesses. Yeah, I know. What I'm saying is, if they had done it, and if you knew they had done it, would you turn them in? Turn in my friends? Yes. I didn't know what to say. I knew the right answer, but I didn't know if that was my honest answer. Turning them in would be the right thing to do, but what sort of person would turn in his friends? Be a stoolie. That's what I thought, she said. There are 2 types of racists, those who write and say the words, and those that don't do anything about it. At least the first type is honest. She turned on her heels and left, leaving me standing there, open-mouthed, unable to even think of what to say. I wanted to yell after her, but I wasn't sure what to yell. A couple of words came to mind, and they weren't pretty. Here I'd been defending her, and now I was a racist? What had I done to deserve any of this? Steve and Kevin were waiting for me just inside the door. Both were laughing and joking around. It was as if nothing had just happened. We are a lock for the Best Costume Award, Steve said excitedly. Nobody can touch us. How exactly does the contest work? I asked. Same as last year, Steve said. I wasn't here last Halloween, I said. Oh, that's right. Let me explain it to you. We all go on stage in the cafeteria and the audience applauds for its favorite, Kevin explained. How many entries do you think there'll be? Last year there were over 30, Steve said. More than 40, Kevin said, correcting him. Whatever. A whole lot. But quantity doesn't matter. It's a question of quality, and I haven't seen anybody who can match our quality, Steve said. Have you? I spent most of my time standing in the front of the school trying not to be seen, so I really hadn't had much of a chance to see anybody. But what about him? I asked, pointing down the corridor. They both turned around. Jules! Steve shouted as the guy came towards us with a big smile on his face. I recognized him as the guy who'd been at court with Haroon. His name was Julian. He was wearing a tuxedo, and in his arms was a ventriloquist dummy dressed like a penguin. Steve and Julian gave each other a big hug. Kevin said hello, but it was a pretty restrained greeting. Then it all clicked. This was the guy who had been on the team last year, all-conference running back, but had decided not to come out for the team this year. Kevin would have taken that personally. Nice get-up, Steve offered. Thank you, he said and gave a little bow. And my compliments to the three bears. All you need is some blonde babe to play Goldilocks. Goldilocks, Steve screamed. That would have been perfect. Why didn't we think of that? It's not too late, Julian offered. There has to be at least one hot blonde who has a crush on a member of the football team, unless I'm remembering wrong. Nope, no problem there, Steve said. I got girls lined up at my door. Lined up? What, are they trying to get out? Julian asked. Funny. You miss not playing? I don't miss the practices. But you do miss the games. Admit it, Steve said. Julian smiled. He had a big, friendly, easygoing smile. I miss the games. You should have come out, Kevin said. You would have made it a better team. How much better do you need to be? Julian asked. You're the best team in the conference, with or without me. You got that right, Kevin said. I know, Julian said. I've been exploring other options. So what's up with the dummy? Kevin asked. I don't know. What's up, Steve? Steve gave him a fake punch to the stomach and then a little push. Hey, watch the dummy. Gotta run. See you bears on the stage. Good luck. He walked away down the hall. Looks like we have a little bit of competition, Steve said. Maybe. You won't see any member of the football team cheering for him, Kevin said.